This is not new material. Okay, this is stuff you should have learned in middle school. So I am going to work some problems with you, and then you will be working on some on your own while I'm calling you up to tell you your test grades. Okay, number 1. The directions say solve each equation, and in the equation there's a variable. For this one, it's the variable a. Whenever you're asked to solve and there's a variable, what are you literally trying to do? Find what a equals. Okay, that means we need to get a by itself. Well, right now, a is not by itself because it's being divided by 4, and there's a 2 added to it. So to get it by itself, what do we do first? Subtract 2. Now, when you subtract 2 on this side, it becomes 0 because 2 minus 2 is 0, and so you just cancel it out. That was your goal. That's why you subtracted 2, so you could cancel it out. But whatever you do to one side, you have to do to the other side. And so the other side becomes a 4. And on this side, you're just left with the a divided by 4. Now to get a by itself, what do we do? Multiply. You do the opposite, the inverse. Pay attention. You do the inverse, which is multiply by 4. And then you multiply by 4 on this side. Those cancel each other out, leaving a by itself like we wanted. And over here you get, can anybody tell me why those canceled out? Well, right, because look, isn't this 4 like a 4 over 1? So don't you basically have 4 over 4, which is 1? Isn't anything divided by itself 1? So 4 over 4 equals 1. Well, do we have to write a 1 right here? No. There is way too much talking. And then we need to check it. Okay, to check it, you just go back to the original. You plug in your answer, so 16. What's 16 over 4? And 4 plus 2 is 6. So that lets you know you did it right. Okay, I got it. Number 3. 9x minus 7 equals negative 7. This time we're trying to get the x by itself. Well, currently it's not because it's being multiplied by 9, and then there's the 7 subtracted from it. So what inverse operation do we do first? Right, we add the 7. Now, the reason we're adding it is because a negative 7 plus 7 is 0, and so it cancels out. Then you add it on this side, and it also becomes a 0. But we do have to write it because you can't just have a blank side. The reason we didn't have to write it over here is because there was still a 9x. But over here, when there's nothing else, you have to write something, so put the 0. Now what do I do to get the x by itself? Divide by 9. And so x equals 0. Okay, then you can always check these type of answers by going back to the original question and plugging in your answer. If I plug in 0 for the x, it'll be 9 times 0, which is minus 7, which is negative 7. And so that lets me know I did it right. All right, number 5. We're trying to get r by itself, so what do I do first? Right, this is minus 5, so we add 5. Over here it cancels because negative 5 plus 5 is 0. On the left side, it makes that negative 4 become a 1. Okay, then we have 1 equals r divided by 20. Now to get r by itself, what do? Right, multiply by that 20, which cancels because 20 divided by 20 is 1. And you can write a 1 beside that r, but there's no need. And then when we multiply this side by 20, you get 20. Okay, so now let's check it to make sure that's right. If I plug in 20 into the original problem, 20 divided by 20 is 1, and 1 minus 5 is negative 4, so we did it right. Any questions so far? All right, number 7. V plus 9 divided by 3 equals 8. What do we do first? Okay, well let me tell you why we can't subtract 9. Think about it. If I tried to, we always write it below it, right? And didn't I just cover up the 3? So anytime you have to write on top of another part of the problem, that means you're doing things out of order. Okay? No. If you, like normally we would write right under it, -9, correct? Well, if at any time you do that and you write on any part of the problem, that means you've done the steps out of order. That means we got to get rid of the 3 first this time because it's under the whole thing. How do we get rid of that 3? Correct. And then we multiply by it on both sides. On the left side, 3 over 3 is 1. And you don't have to write 1. You just bring down the v plus 9. On the right side, we now have a 24. Now to get v by itself, what do we do? Yeah, you're right. And then 24 minus 9 becomes 15. Okay, so now we check it by plugging in the 15. What is 15 plus 9? 24. And what's 24 divided by 3? 8. So we did it right. So do you see how there's never a reason to get these wrong, especially if you have choices on a test? All right, number 9. We're trying to get x by itself, so what do we do first? And then negative 9x equals, and now what do we do? Right? And so x equals positive 9. A negative divided by negative is a positive, and 81 over 9 is 9. Okay, then you can check it by plugging in the positive 9 for x. When we plug it in right here, it's sitting beside the negative 9, so you multiply them and you'll get a negative 81, and then a negative 81 plus 1 is equal to negative 80. All right, number 11, what do we do first? Right, subtract the 2 to cancel it on this side, and when you subtract it on the left side, you now have negative 4. Now to get v by itself, what do we do next? And so those cancel out, leaving v by itself, and on the left you now have negative 16. Okay, and then if you go back and check it, negative 16 would go right here, divided by 4 would give you a negative 4, and then negative 4 plus 2 is negative 2. Okay, now turn to page 2. You're doing them when... Y'all are going to do those while I'm calling you up for test grades. All right, number 13. To get that m by itself, what do we do first? Subtract 5, right, on both sides. On this side, 5 minus 5 is 0, so you just cross it out. No need to write a plus 0. On the left side, it becomes a negative 20. Now to get m by itself, what do we do? And so m equals negative 20 divided by negative 4, which is positive 5. Because a negative divided by negative is a positive. Okay, and then you check it by plugging 5 in the place of m. Negative 4 times 5 is negative 20, and negative 20 plus 5 equals negative 15. All right, number 15. 8n plus 7 equals 31. What do I need to do first? Yep. And so now 8n equals 24. Now what do I do to solve for n? Divide by 8, so n equals 3. Okay, then I plug in 3 into the end to check it. It's sitting beside the 8, so you multiply it and you get a 24. 8 times 3 is 24, and 24 plus 7 equals 31. So we did it right. All right, number 17. What do I do first? Right, get this negative 16 out of the bottom by multiplying by it on both sides. Those cross each other out because anything divided by itself is 1, and you don't have to write a 1. And then on the right side you get, right, positive 16. And now to solve for n, what do you do? And so n equals 11. Okay, then you can plug it in to make sure you're right. If I plug in an 11 right here, 11 plus 5 is, and 16 divided by negative 16 is negative 1. Okay, can I erase that one? All right, number 19. Any ideas what we could do first? Okay, so distribute's fine. 10 times k is 10k. 10 times negative 9 is? Yeah, you're right. And now on this side, I just bring down the negative 10. Now what do I do? Add 90. And so negative 10 plus 90 is 80. Now what do I do? Divide by 10. And 80 divided by 10 is 8. Okay, now I'm going to show you another way you could have done it. You still need to see this, even if you don't want to do it this way. Okay, see how the 10, the whole reason we distributed is because the 10's being multiplied by that, right? Anytime you have a number and it's touching something, it's being multiplied. So what's the opposite of multiplication? So right away, you could have just gone ahead and divided by that 10 and canceled it. And divided this side by 10 and got a negative 1. And now you just have negative 1 equals k minus 9. And now to solve for k, what would you do? Right? And so k equals negative 1 plus 9, which is 8. So either way will be fine. You can distribute it out and go from there, or you can just go ahead and get rid of that number on the outside to begin with and then finish it out. Okay, then I'm going to check 8 in the answer. If I put 8 right here, 8 minus 9 is negative 1, and negative 1 times 10 is negative 10. All right, number 21. What do I do first? On the left side, 9 minus 9 is 0, but since there's something else there, I don't have to write the 0, okay, because there's something else to fill that side. On the right side, you also get a 0, and since that's the only thing over there, you need to write it because you can't just leave the side empty. Now to solve for n, what do we do? And so n equals 0. Okay, now I'm going to check it by plugging in 0 for the n. And when I do, 9 times 0 becomes, and 9 plus that 0 equals 9. All right, number 23. What should I do first? Right, first I'll subtract the 8. And so now I have b divided by negative 4 equals what? And now to get b by itself, what do I do? Those cancel out, leaving b by itself, and it equals positive 12. Okay, while I am calling you up to give you back your old pink sheet and tell you your test grade, you need to be finishing pages 1 and 2, the evens. Keep the pink sheet because we're going to continue to use it. We're just going to use the back side for this packet, okay?